The Audio Train programme is supported by the following businesses. Tysers, a leading media insurance company. Garment Printing, supplier of printed clothing and branded merchandise. Prager Metis, an international advisory and accounting firm. AV Resilience, a supplier of technical consultancy and broadcast equipment. Mint & Co, a dynamic legal and business affairs company. And Notetracks, a platform for audio producers, engineers and collaborators to take notes, get feedback and share projects. Audio Train is part of Audio UK, the trade association for professional audio production companies.
Hello and welcome to 2022 and Audio Train. We've got some great sessions for audio professionals this year, and we're starting with a live demo from one of Audio Train's sponsors, Notetracks. This is a platform that's been developed in Canada and has rolled out very successfully in North America, but it's relatively new in the UK. Joining us from Canada is founder and CEO Kam Lal. Hello, Kam. Great to link up.
Hello.
Hello. And first, I just wondered if you could say in a few words what Notetrack does.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Quick description of Notetracks is that it's a platform for audio creators that are working on different audio projects, whether it be podcasts, music, voiceover projects, to take notes, share, and gather feedback on their works for final release and approvals.
So it's for people working together on projects, saving lots of phone calls and emails, going backwards and forwards, and particularly relevant, I would think, at the moment when people are not able to be in the same place.
It's a silver lining, to say the least. The platform was developed many years ago and inspired many years ago for different purposes, which I'll get into. But definitely an interesting time for the platform as well. So happy to be part of solutions that allow us to move our projects forward today, especially.
Well, at the end of today's webinar, Kam will be offering some special discounts for people watching. And don't forget, and you probably have a few, you may have some questions, and he'll be answering those at the end of the demo. And if you use the Q&A button for that. So, Kam, I'm going to hand over to you now.
Great. Well, thanks again for having me, and pleasure to be here. Good evening to you all in UK. I'm sitting looking at 30 centimeters of a blizzard snow up in Canada. So hope it's a less white over there. But yeah, happy to be here. Love to keep it interactive. Love to know, what folks are doing in the audio world. So feel free to, send us, where you're tuning in from today, and what you're working on, so I could perhaps align the demo. And obviously happy to answer any questions related to what we're doing. But I'd love to start by giving a brief background on why the platform exists and a bit about myself. I have an audio and music background. Grew up playing the piano at a young age and got into DJing in my teenage years. And from DJing, if you've got some talents and know what a hit record sounds like, you transition into wanting to make the hit instead of play the hit. So I got into music production, which is what gave me my audio skills. I was working with a digital audio workstation called Cubase at the time, and was working on my own music production. Since I was introduced to a lot of software, I was fascinated on figuring out how it was built. So I pursued a background in computer science, where I studied software and software engineering. I also did a minor in music just to keep my passions and keep myself motivated throughout the program. And it was in this classroom of audio engineering that we discovered, or I discovered the idea for this platform. We were doing an exercise called reverse engineering, ear training, where we would listen to tracks, popular tracks, and then take down notes referencing what we're listening to. So the professor would have a waveform on the projector, and then a CD player is what they would be rewinding and pausing with. And as students, we were taking down notes referencing time code. So at 10 seconds, chord progression change, or 35 seconds, bass frequencies, 44 kilohertz, etc. And it was around the time that paper was going to digital, so there were applications and such as Evernote or note-taking applications started to emerge. And I really want to have a note-taking application designed for audio. And the way I envisioned it was basically by having a note-taking track in my digital audio workstation. So I would actually print screen Cubase session files with the waveform, and then write down, actually paste them into Photoshop, and then take down notes underneath the waveform. But essentially, I wanted to have, you in these workstations, you have audio recording tracks, you have MIDI tracks if you're producing music, but I really want to have a note-taking track. I want to be able to write a paragraph underneath the waveform. And this is pre-tools such as SoundCloud existed. Once SoundCloud did exist, I said, well, there's that idea with the waveform and the comments. They were really the first kind of pioneers of that segment. However, didn't suit my purpose because I really want to be able to write descriptive notes, write notes in the way that we write notes on a piece of paper. So we write text, we draw things, we highlight things, etc. So it was really designed to be a note-taking tool for audio. And the preliminary usage for it was analysis, which is interesting because today, as mentioned, it's a platform that's mainly used for feedback and collaboration, which it is another form of analysis. It's just in a different setting. It's in collaboration. However, we have multiple different use cases, all stemming around analyzing audio and taking down notes. So after, to make a long story short, after working in tech for several years after I graduated, I came to a point where I said, hey, the tool that I need doesn't exist. I need it for my own personal use. Worst case, it would be an expensive piece of gear. But best case, I imagine it could help folks that are either working on analysis. And we went ahead and built a preliminary mobile version on iOS. That picked up customers that were starting to use it for feedback and collaboration. And we were proposed by them to build a larger version, which is what we've released now. It's our desktop platform that's web-based. It's all the content is hosted in the cloud. So we went from essentially a mobile app to a web-based platform, which we label as Notetracks Pro. This platform has been out for almost over a year now, and it was, again, initially built for the music analysis and then music production industry, and we found that every few months or so we were having new use cases. I would say the secondary use case out of music is podcasting. So I'm sure everybody's aware of how podcasting is growing, and there are many also audio engineers and music producers who are working on these types of these types of content pieces that have now transitioned into podcasting work. But yeah, our platform is used for that type of case as well too, because it's the same type of format with regards to uploading tracks and gathering and receiving feedback. It's just a different content piece that's the finished product at the end of the day. So I'll get into more use cases that we have aside from podcasting and music, but definitely happy to show a quick overview and demo of the platform and answer any questions with regards to our platform or remote collaboration in general. So let's get into the demo, shall we? Go ahead and share my screen. So this is our main webpage. Basically, as mentioned, we help audio creators working on podcasts, music creators working on music files, as well as video creators as well too. There is a video component in the platform that also makes it a video collaboration tool. But again, our core focus is audio, and we've built our video component piece to help the folks that are working on music for films or audio and music for ads that have that video component. But we really brand ourselves and focus on the audio project management and feedback and collaboration. But if folks are working on video and they do need a video collaboration platform to be able to share feedback and comment, we're well equipped to handle that use case. So as mentioned, that it's all about the audio and all about the notes along with the audio. We allow folks to take notes in the form of comments, and then we allow freehand drawings and then pre-populated stamps all across the waveform. We build it in a way that again, a digital audio workstation is structured. So you really do have a track that goes from left to right on the horizontal pane, and then elements across that axis as well too. But yeah, I mean, essentially, it's the benefits of the platform are to get feedback from everyone much more faster. Communicate your thoughts and ideas precisely. Have everything on the timeline. Keep everything in one place. We do kind of mention that we're an advanced audio application. So our playback controls are different than the ones, or more extensive than the ones that you might be regularly used to in a regular audio or video playing application. So we allow to slow down the track or be able to get to certain segments with quick shortcuts, etc. Which I'll again demonstrate on the demo. And then again, extensive features with regards to note taking. So take notes in the form of comments, notes, drawings, etc. So there are, different benefits of the platform. One of them that we've kind of highlighted is presenting your projects professionally. So, the regular use case that we kind of mitigate for is that you've got a draft of a piece that you're working on, and you're sending it with the regular means of a Dropbox or Google Drive link, and then you're sending an email to somebody to say, hey, I've uploaded this track. Let me know your thoughts. And then they're sending an email with timestamped notes referencing, things that they'd like to change. But with Notetracks, it's a platform where you can upload the audio directly in the project, make notes, ask questions, and share the project quite easily, whether it's privately or publicly, with a quick link, and allows for a presentation of the project that's a bit more efficient. So the two types of customers that we have that use this product are either on the production side of things, so editors, producers, engineers that are trying to get better ways for their clients to be able to gather feedback. So facilitating their clients to give them better feedback. So it's really the engineer that has a draft of something that they'd like to share to their client, and then they'd like their clients to be able to chime in and let them know their thoughts, because ultimately that's basically where they're trying to head towards to finish the projects. But we also have clients that are already working with editors and engineers, and they'd like to be able to express themselves and give notes in a way that they would find that's much more efficient. So this could go both. This could work both ways. This could be a tool that I imagine the folks that are on this call are for the most part in the editing, engineering, or production, even project management side of things. But at the same time, if you are a host of a podcast, or a host of an audio project, or a producer, project manager, this is a tool that you could bring into your to communicate with your editors and engineers, etc. And then, yeah, I mean, the one of the main benefits is that you have everything on one place. So once you have, things in Dropbox, Google Drives, notes, documents, docs, it's hard to kind of track all these things, come back to them at a later time, and then stay organized. So this is one platform where you could keep your audio files, listen to them, take notes with regards to them, and then share them, and then have one kind of central repository to be able to go back to different revisions and changes, etc. So yeah, I think again, we do support video projects, and this is what video looks like in our application. But I'll dive into the application itself to give you a better demo. Let me know if there's any questions so far, or any use cases that you'd like me to cover. If not, happy to prepare what I have set up to go ahead and provide a demo. Fairly easy to sign up to the platform. There's a quick sign up button. We start off on a trial basis, so we've got our different pricing for different types of usages. But essentially, anybody could try the platform, use it for free. It's a simple sign up process. You create your account with your own information, or sign up via Google, and then once you're into the platform, this is what it looks like. So you basically have your project list page that contains all your projects. So these are all the projects that I have. You could sort them, search for them, filter them, etc. Tab between the projects that you've shared with others, that you own, that you have some public links for, etc. But we'll go ahead and create a new project. I'll go ahead and call this Audio Train Demo. You could choose between whether you're working on an audio project or video project. We treat both of them differently, just because we aim to enhance performance, whether it be on playback, and download. So we optimize differently for those two cases. So we'll go ahead and do an audio demo for this session over here. And it's quickly easy. I mean, the platform itself is pretty intuitive. Everything is self-explanatory. You have an exit to go back to project button, add project, or share project. These are the three main components that you'll use. Your standard menu of different things that you'd like to view in your account. But yeah, essentially your playback controls are at the top, a volume control over here, a slow down, speed up, a record button. So if you're not working on audio per se, and you're a podcaster just wanting to test out their audio in their room, and want to just do a quick draft and share it with an engineer to see how this sounds, or you're actually in a session, and you're working on something, and you just want to really quickly do a take. It's really for the folks that don't have the audio yet and just want to really just record a draft quickly. We do have a record capability over there, but essentially the major usage is around inputting and importing tracks. For that, you could simply add a track. We have integrations with Dropbox and Google Drive, to the main file storage platforms, to be able to source directly from your Dropbox or your Google Drive file accounts, or you could select files through your Finder window. I like to quickly drag and drop tracks. So here's my folder of tracks over here, and I'm going to quickly drag this track over here. So once you drag and drop a track into the platform, you have everything you need to control the audio. So go to back, go to beginning, volume, and then everything to see the audio as well too. So we kind of play aspect on the visual aspects of the platform, to be able to see the entire waveform, to zoom in on specific segments, to color code different tracks, which we'll get into, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and hit spacebar. So we have an extensive amount of shortcuts, again, to make this easily, to be able to facilitate playback. You could use shortcuts such as the front and back arrow. We try to mimic them to digital audio workstations, so the folks are familiar with the shortcuts. Spacebar, for folks that use different audio tools, is the play and pause. So if I hit spacebar, you go ahead and listen to the track. So one of the key benefits of the platform is to be able to jot down notes without interrupting the playback. So it's again, if I recall the time where the professor would play back the track, and then us as students would take down the notes, he'd have to pause the playback of it. But this platform allows you to play back and then drop either comments or markers. So sometimes we have folks that are just want to listen to the piece and jot down areas that they feel that they need to improve on without writing the comments yet. So we call that dropping markers, where you could just listen to the track and just insert a marker right here. So at 2 seconds, I know I want to say something about that. And I could drop another one, and I know I want to say something about that too. I'll go ahead and press spacebar to go back to them, and then I could go back to this comment and say, love the intro. The synths really stand out. It may be a bit long, though. What are your thoughts? So this was at 2. I punched this in exactly at 2, but if I'd like to, I could also fine tune it. So we allow you to, fine tune these segments to be able to drag them to specific points. So this, I'm gonna, it's an overall comment at 0. It's really about this range that's over here. And basically, I inserted a marker while I was listening to it, and then decided that I'd want to comment later on. You can also, double click and insert a comment exactly where you need it. So there's a couple of ways where you could insert. Either you could insert a marker and then go back to it at a separate time. You could, play the track back. You could play the track back and then click add comment, and then even continue to add the comment without stopping the track. And then press spacebar or pause to be able to stop it. So it's pretty flexible. That's another keyword that we like to kind of we want the platform to be flexible so that a user can be able to use it in their variety of different ways, and then give them all the options with regards to commenting and then playing back, so that they'd be able to use it in their different ways of working. So another interesting way of writing down comments, I mentioned at the beginning that one of them was a range. I'd like to talk about a specific segment. Side note, I'm also deleting comments really easily by just clicking the little X over here. But let's say I want to cover this entire range over here. Just like Microsoft Word document, you could click and drag and then just highlight this, and then this highlights the entire range. So we should bring this part up, shall we? Yeah. So again, range commenting, you could also fine tune. So you'd be able to, edit the range later on if you want to make the range a bit smaller. If you want to move it around, you have the capability of, adding range comments and editing range comments. And then everything that we do is basically on the track, but it allows for conversations at specific time points. So if you are, asking, let's say, John about, things that you should bring up, and asking for his approval, then I'll show. I could quickly show you how you share a project right now. Sharing a project is pretty easy. You enter. If you want to quickly share this project with somebody, you could copy the link over here, and that creates what we call a public link. So that you could go into, browser, you could open this up, paste this in another browser, and then see, share it with somebody easily, and then they'll be able to access the project and listen to the project, etc. You'll notice that certain features are barred depending on the permissions that they have. But it's really easy to share a project. If you're really working, in a messaging tool by text or by email, and at least you want to be able to get them the project real quickly, you can go ahead and share what we call a public link, similar to your standard, Dropboxes, Google Docs, and Drives. But if you want to privately share this, you can share it with John at Notetracks. or not John per se, but that this would be the example email. You type in your email, and you say, hey John, trying this. You could write a little message that will appear in their email, trying out this new platform. Easy to put in comments. And then quickly share it with them. They'll receive an email with the information that basically just brings them to the sign up page, to be able to have their own account, so that they could view the project that has been shared with them. So that would be inviting them privately, but you could also quickly share it with the public link as well. But once John does log in, if you are working on a project together at the same time, you will see John appear as if it's as if it's Google Docs, where his icon will appear there, and then in real time, he can reply. So he reply. In this case, I'm replying to my own comment, but we could imagine this is John saying, yes, will do. And then, in our commenting, we have other, standard features with regards to, emojis, that you could add to facilitate communication. There's also a new feature that we recently introduced called audio notes. So if let's say there was a way that, something was pronounced and maybe you weren't able to kind of describe it, you would be able to record a little note and say, hey, John, I think that, you should try this by pronouncing it this way. Or there's a little sound that I hear. It kind of sounds like a E. It might be a ground loop of some sort. But nothing that you could describe in text, but something you could definitely describe in audio. So it's fairly easy to place an audio comment. You just click on the record button. It's going to record something. I'm not going to do it right now because we're plugged into vMix and Zoom. But if you click on that little record button, it'll ask you for permission for your microphone, and then you'll be able to quickly just record a small bit, and then you can essentially have audio notes on the timeline. So this is a feature that was just introduced a few weeks ago. So definitely excited about that one. So yeah, I think I've covered the majority with regards to, these things are pretty self-explanatory. Editing comments, if you want to edit a comment, deleting, we covered, replying to the comments as threads. What's neat to see about the platform is that everything kind of can be collapsed or expanded upon. So this is a master collapse. So if I want to see nothing but the waveform, I could close this all up. If I want to expand everything, I could open this all up. But if I just want to see the track and no comments, I could close this up and I could expand this. This gets really handy when you start adding multiple tracks. So again, in the regular usage of things, there is one track that somebody's working on, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an interview, whether it's a music piece, an instrumental. A track is being shared for feedback on that track to be able to gather things to work on or to revise as an editor, as a producer, as an artist. So this is what we would call the V1. A V1 would be exchange. So the way it works with Notetracks is that you could have multiple projects and then multiple tracks within those projects. So we have folks that use a project for a singular track. So they would name this Nowhere to Hide V1, and then basically that would be the project. It'd be V1. But we also have folks that use one project for multiple revisions of the track. So what makes Notetracks a bit different than any a platform where you could take down notes with regards to audio is that it supports multiple tracks in one project. So if I were to say that that was the V1, and I would say, okay, the revisions have been made. Here is the V2. I could put two versions in the project, and then I would be able to solo and mute them just to kind of audition. Already visually, I could see that these two tracks are pretty much the same. That's because they are. But if there was, if the editor was to put a fade in curve or to change things, I would automatically notice the difference without even, having to listen to them. like to listen to them, we could, we could color code these different tracks. So you have choices to, to code them. You also have these tags on the side too to say that, this is the green version is the approved one, the yellow one we're kind of thinking about, or the red one is something that we don't want to use at all. We could rename them as you saw me do earlier. But this would be, the V2. And you could go up to as many tracks as you'd like. One quick note that we tend to make is that, if you're working on larger files, obviously you are, downloading this content. So if you're working on, let's say, podcasts at 45, 60 minutes a piece, it might be more beneficial to use one project per podcast, versus, working on a track that's about 3 minutes, where you could have multiple tracks and you'd be loading up 20, 30 megs as opposed to 500 to gigs of files. So if you have great download capabilities and you don't mind loading entire multiple different tracks and pieces in one project, then we support it as much as your memory can support. But if you do want to treat every project separately, and then be able to quickly load them, you could do so. But again, flexibility is the key word over here. We give the options to do both, and allow folks. And we have customers that do exactly both. Sometimes as one customer, sometimes they have different clients and collaborators that like to have different have projects with multiple tracks and revisions within them, or have separate projects with separate tracks, even if they're working on the separate tracks for different revisions. So that pretty much covers the upload of the tracks, the playback. We do have an extensive list of shortcuts that you could view. This might be a little bit of a secret, but Shift ? Basically opens up the shortcut panel, where you have multiple, all the different ways. Use your shortcuts for zoom, your shortcuts for volume, muting, duplicating drawings, or stamps. So that's one thing that I didn't showcase. So we showed taking notes with regards to commenting, but at the same time we do allow you to take notes in the form of pre-populated stamps and drawings. So let's say we were mapping out this track and we just wanted to say that this is an intro. We'd be able to drag and drop a cue over here and say that's the intro. Drag another one here, that's the verse. That's the chorus. We're able to change the colors for these different stamps by just selecting them and then change their color. So you could get pretty visual. You might have your own legend of notation of things that are kind of in red or in green or in yellow, etc. But what this essentially does is allows you to kind of like map out a track. So we have folks that work on music that map out their intro, their verse, their pre-chorus, etc. But then we also have podcasters that do custom notes, and they would drop something like the ad roll over here. So right over here we could insert an ad. So this allows you to quickly kind of skim through the track without having to read too much. You understand that the intro is here. This is where the interview begins, or the verse begins. This is where we would have a roll for it, or again, this is where we kind of maybe have to redo the take, redo some work. Just allows you to have a visual. More visual cues, and then be able to have a discussion around these visual cues. So we give you the general ones that we see, which is basically intro, outro, verses, chorus, especially for music, and then a custom one to be able to do anything you like. And then we also have some pre-populated, especially again in the music realm, if somebody's working on the piano over here, or the synths, or the vocals, etc. We give you some pre-populated tools that you could work with, and we're going to be rolling out extensive additions to this, so you'd be able to add your own stamps and cues as well too. Last note is drawing. So, I mean, if you really don't find anything that you need and you really want to be free with regards to visuals, you could, let's say you want to fade something up and you want to do your typical, my drawing skills are not great, but, you want to do your typical, fader curve, then you could also kind of, say we need to turn this up. Or again, we have, music folks using, treble clefs or, bass clefs, writing music notation along the track as well too. And again, a lot of folks have their own legends and notations that they use with regards to omitting. We see a lot of zigzags with regards to dashes of like take this out, take this out, take this out. So again, another quick way to kind of map out what you need. And that's essentially it. Every track has their own note taking tracks. So everything that I did for this track is basically for this track and not for this track. So we treat every track separately with their own comments, markers, drawings, etc. And again, like I mentioned, you could quickly collapse these, so you could just see the tracks, or be able to see the notes, etc. We've got for folks that everything that we do is really designed to go across the track from left to right. We do have some folks that want to, as you start commenting, it might get extensive to go through comments. So sometimes folks want to quickly search for comments or quickly view. So we have this view called a journal view, where you're able to kind of access and then quickly see the comments per track. If you want to filter through the different collaborators, you can. There's no comments over here, so we don't see anything, but there's definitely the comments over here. And then you're able to kind of quickly see, all right, John's comments, Kam's comments, search for them, etc. Which we're further developing as well too. So that's it. Playback controls are pretty standard. You've also got some loop segments where you could have a loop. So if you'd want to just quickly kind of hear this segment, you could activate the loop, and you could loop this over and over. You could slow this track down, or speed it up. And then, sharing is the main thing. So you're able to quickly share the project, which we covered. We have different permission settings for different, usage. Some folks, share tracks with their clients. They don't necessarily want them to download the track until it's finished, or make any changes, delete anything. So they give them the comment or view permission. Again, pretty similar to your standard Google Docs or Drives, where you could give them the edit permission to be able to do, if you're working with a team member, a fellow producer, co-producer, engineer, assistant, etc. You can give them the edit permissions where they could modify the projects, or just give commenting permissions where somebody could comment or somebody could view without having to be able to edit anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the one other thing that I didn't showcase was a video project. So I'll go ahead and exit out. Feel free to interrupt me if there's any questions so far, or any comments. But yeah, I'll drag and drop this video over here. So this is how the video loads up. The video loads up as your standard video player, but then everything that you have here is basically allows you to comment on the audio track of the video. So you've got some options with regards to condensing the video. So if you want to kind of make the video smaller and focus on the comments and the audio, you can. If you want to expand the video, you can as well too. All the shortcuts that I mentioned work. You can add the marker, add the comment exactly how we mentioned. But essentially, it's the same thing. It's commenting now on the audio frame as well as the video comment, and then being able to kind of skim through this. What makes video super interesting, though, this is very hidden, but it's kind of one of the requirements that was given to our given by our music producers and engineers that were working on video, is the fact that sometimes you're working on different music segments or audio segments for video, and you want to, again, like revisions, you want to be able to audition the different tracks. So if I load up a different track over here, the secondary track will load, and then I'll be able to basically A/B test. So I'll be able to play this video back with this segment or that segment. So I could listen to it with the original audio, or I could actually listen to it with this. So you might be working with two different music pieces that you are building for this ad, and you want the project manager to approve on which piece that they like. So if this is music piece 1, the producer could listen to it and say, all right, I like this track, or these are the things I don't like about this track, but I listened to this track and it fits much better. So let's go with this one, and I'll think about this one. And you could do this with multiple tracks. So you could do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could load up as many tracks as you like for an audio project. We'll by default take out the audio file that's associated with the video file. But after you drag in different audio files, then you're able to audition and listen to different tracks with the video. And that pretty much summarizes the main features. Eager to answer the questions.
So, Amika, she works with people across various continents, so I can completely see how this would come in very handy there. She wants to know, do the people reviewing the work you share need to create an account? So in other words, can you get a group account, or does everybody have to have individual accounts?
Great question. So we separate our accounts with names of creators and collaborators. So a creator account is ultimately who has an active subscription. So that they if Anika is working with different collaborators, Anika would have the main account, and then she's able to share the projects with anybody around the world. So and those individuals can create, if it's shared privately, they can sign up, and have their own free account. So they're able to collaborate on the project for free. They don't have to pay for anything. They're considered as a collaborator on that project, and they can participate in that project for free. So no issues there. Should they wish themselves to create projects, then they would have to have a subscription. So we separate the accounts between creators and collaborators, and this is only for the invite, the private collaboration. But if you create a project and you'd like to share a public link of it, then somebody doesn't have to have an account to be able to review the project. As I showed in the demo, you could basically share that public link. Somebody could click on it and then have everything they need to review and comment on the track. So depends on how you envision to use it. But I always like to clarify that folks sometimes think that if you create an account, then everybody that you share the project with has to have an account that they pay for as well. That's not the case. It's basically they could have an account or not have an account, and if they're working on your project, it's definitely for free, and we allow unlimited collaborators to be added to the project. However, if they'd like to create projects themselves to have their own way of sharing projects with others, then they could subscribe if they'd like to.
Okay. And do you have some sort of group account though? Do you have a sort of, if somebody's got members of production teams, in different areas and they want them each to have one, is there a sort of cost-saving group account?
Yeah, definitely. Not that it's advertised on our platform, but that's what the cases that we have in. We have organizations that come in and say we've got 10 to 100 seats, and what can you do for us? So we provide extensive discounts based on volume. We understand that sometimes there's a lot of folks, but again, maybe not all those folks are extensively using it. They're kind of involved in the project. So we tend to see if you're working on a group of 5 or 10 or 100, we take them case by case. So we've got all three of those scenarios, and we take it case by case, and we're happy to build something that works with the organization.
Siobhan hasn't actually given us details, but she's asking, do you retain editorial control of the audio, even though you are sharing the project for the purposes of note-taking? In other words, no one else can accidentally move your audio around.
Yeah, great question. I mean, there are no editing features per se in the project, aside from the fact that you can delete the audio. So if you do give somebody editing permissions on your project, they can potentially delete the audio of the project. So that's something you might want to be cautious of. But if you do share the project with viewer commenting, they don't. So and there's no cutting or trimming that's involved in the platform. So there is no. That's another. I mean, there are some audio editors out there in the market that are a bit more collaborative, and that's some interesting feedback that we've obtained from customers that are using our platform, in which they like to share our project because it doesn't have those features. You don't want somebody accidentally messing with the audio file or removing it or making changes to it, etc. But you have full control on what you basically share. Pretty much.
Okay. Just a point here for clarification. When you're making notes about your track, can you record your comments into the note as well as actually typing them in, or just typing?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
to
both.
clarify, there's a new feature that we added that's a little microphone that we call it voice notes, similar to how folks that use iPhone, their iMessages, you could have instead of texting, SMSing somebody, you could click on the little microphone button and then be able to record a little audio note. You can basically record a little snippet and not type anything, and it'll just show up as a little audio waveform that you'd be able to play back. Um,
Mike would like to know, he says, "Hi, Kam, a great system. I will certainly be trying it out for real in the near future. However, it looks like I'll need to be constantly reading across from Notetracks in my browser to the mix in my DAW Pro Tools. Is there any way of simply importing the time-stamped comments into DAWs like Pro Tools?"
Love it, love that question, Mike. And thanks again for the kind words. So two things that are exciting. One thing is that one thing I didn't know showcase. I don't know if we could share my screen real quickly, but if we can. I didn't show this little hidden button that it's actually sometimes we build small features and we don't think that they're going to be as powerful as they are, but we'll be making this button a lot bigger. It's a download comments button. So after you put in all your notes, your editor or your collaborators are putting all their notes. Sometimes the editor does want all the notes so they could go back into Pro Tools and work on those edits. So we do have a little downloads comments buttons that basically opens up a little file with everything that's there timestamped, so you'd be able to see, and has everybody's name and the time segments, etc. What we're doing after this is that it's not hard for us to convert these files, pre-convert these files into formats that would be easily able to be imported into Pro Tools or other tools like Audacity. Audacity is the one that we're immediately working on at the moment, but Pro Tools is next up on the list. So in the meantime, you can use the download comments to have a quick feed. One other thing that I didn't mention is that for every comment, that for all the activity that's done in a project, you do get an email notification. Not at every time that a comment is populated, but after somebody's done working on the project and hasn't been active for a few minutes, we send out an activity report of the latest comments that are there. So again, if you're an editor, let's say, Mike, you're working on an edit and you share it with somebody and you're like, okay, I want to know your feedback. As soon as they fill out that feedback, you will get an email stating, so and so has entered in these comments, etc. And then you'd be able to open up Pro Tools and get straight to work. A recent request by a user has been to actually embed our text file into that email, so they could spend less time on Notetracks, which we're totally fine on. Anything that helps get the job done. But yeah, I mean that's the main thing to highlight is the commenting. Where right now you can get a whole feed of all the comments so that you could quickly go into work. Secondary, we're building out that import mechanism. The third thing that you'd probably be also interested in is that we're working on a plugin. So we're in alpha of our plugin that connects to DAWs such as Pro Tools, Ableton. If you use VST plugins, it's a VST plugin that basically you load up Notetracks into, and then you're able to see load up the projects and then see them within your DAW, so you don't have to open up a browser per se. So a couple of interesting features that are coming out and that currently exist that you'd be able to use to help with that point.
I think we've got time for a couple more questions. Kam,
Sure.
wanting to know, does it work with mobile devices?
Definitely. So again, our new we started off as a mobile, application, but then we focused on desktop for the professionals, the engineers that were working in the studios and needed that desktop environment. So I would have to say, 80% of our core clients, work on desktop, but we do have the folks that are on the road that need to quickly, listen to a project. So we do our best to keep the platform mobile responsive. We do have, a mobile native applications in the works, but for the time being, you're able to basically view everything that you're viewing, the project list, the playback, comment on a mobile version. The journal view that I demonstrated that has the vertical view is the optimized version for mobile. So you're able to see everything in a vertical view, because again, on a portrait face device, it is quite difficult to scroll left and right. But we make our optimizations the best we can because we understand that folks are on the go, primarily getting an email in their on their mobile phone, clicking on it, wanting to play it back. Sometimes you want to play back something on the car, on the road, etc. And then come back to the desktop to be able to continue the more heavy work.
Okay, final question that I think we've got time for. Ever since moving from cutting tape to mixing on screen, I've encouraged others to listen to the audio rather than looking at the waveform when reviewing a mix. Could there be an auto blanking option, say, when just playing the audio? The screen goes blank after 5 seconds, adjustable, of mouse inactivity, until the reviewer wants to add their next marker or comment. Just something to remind them to use their ears and not their eyes.
I'd love to get in touch. Please reach out to whoever you are. Please reach out to me at cam@notetracks.com. And I invite anybody else on the webinar too as well too. We could give out my email address and kam@notetracks.com. Love to. That's fascinating. I mean, it's totally easy to implement. And I've been paying attention. We've been paying attention to a lot of waveforms and how they're presented to these days in different audio applications. And we tend to notice that some audio applications have nothing but a line that's there, so no waveform data. Obviously, we have a ton of folks that want to see the waveform data for visual aspects of it. But in the case that you just mentioned, definitely interesting not to be able to pay attention to the waveform and could ultimately see that. So would definitely love to explore that further. And I would think that it would be like, as I changed the color and showcased, a different color for the waveform, I imagine that we could, do the same with regards to not showing the waveform at all. So, toggle off the waveform and just be able to either you have a thin line that just doesn't show anything. That could be, and then you could maybe browse through it. Have nothing at all, have a different view. But definitely, curious to dive into that case further, and it can easily be done. I'd say.
Interesting point then. Yeah, interesting bit of feedback there, I think.
Definitely.
Okay, so now let's get to the sort of crux. How much does it cost?
Yeah, perfect. So anybody who would like to see our pricing page, could go to our website on the top. This is our main website. Pricing is up at the top. We've got an extensive blog too with some great audio materials as well too. But pricing over here. So this is monthly billing. These are all our prices are based in US. I mean, it's our preliminary place that we launched the product. We will be optimizing these to facilitate UK currency, but you can with a UK credit card be able to purchase any of these platforms at the US price, and they'll do the conversion. So monthly pricing is over here. We separate our pricing in 3 different categories. The basic, if you're just getting started with a few projects; the creator, which is the most popular one with 25 projects; and then organization, which are kind of have want to do unlimited projects or have more storage, etc. And then obviously we give a bit of an annual discount, a percentage discount on any of our annual tiers.
Also planning to give a discount for Audio Train
100%. So we already give a discount on our annual price, but I'd like to mention that for the folks of Audio Train, we'd love to give an additional 25%. We have a coupon code that's Audio Train 25. So Audio Train, one word, 25. that gives 25% off of any of our plans. So if you want to start off as a creator and have this on a 20, I'd recommend doing the annual, just because it's already got a 15 to 20% discount, and then you'd have an additional 25% off. You could. Yeah.
Sorry, and you're leaving that offer open until when?
We'll do the end of February. So
the end of February 2022. Yeah.
Good month and a half to explore the platform, try it out. If they have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out. We're pretty receptive. There's on all aspects of our website and our platform, there's a little chat box that connects with me and the team, over here. So you could quickly, type in any questions you have with regards to pricing, with regards to organizations, with regards to functionality, et cetera, over here. So
There's one final question come in about from Catriona. She wants to know if you'll be looking at the Sadie editing system as well. You may possibly not have heard of Sadie. Sadie is something that I know that the UK and in particular the BBC was using a lot of. But is Sadie one that's come on your horizon?
Not yet, but I'd be curious to look into more, Caroline. If you know of it, I'd love to dive into it deeper. I'll definitely check it out, and if it's something that's quite popular, we're definitely open to it. I must say that with regards to we let our customers decide what to integrate and what to put forth next. So even something as small as the audio, the Audacity markers, or as Mike mentioned, the import to Pro Tools markers. If it's something for us to quickly implement and fix, that's what we or develop, that's what we do. So if there's if we see that there's a customer that we have that's looking for some type of integration with Sadie, and it's not hard for us to do, then we would love to look into it and get it done.
Many thanks to Kam Lal from Notetracks. We're recording this session, so if you want to look at it again or send it to any other colleagues that may be interested, it'll be on the Audio Train previous webinars page of our website in the next couple of days. Next week, we're running a webinar on bid writing, tips and hints on making that funding bid stand out. You can sign up on the Audio Train website, but until then, goodbye.